wrestling fans. It's the Alabama Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. Inductees this year include Bull Buchanan, the Scream Queen, Daffney, Mr. Olympia, Jerry Stubbs, Pat and Randy Rose.
So much for coming out for the show tonight. This is Southern Legacy Pro Wrestling, and believe me, it's our pleasure to give y'all something back. Most promotions would give you maybe a card or maybe a few bucks a ticket. Hey, we're giving you the whole night for free, man. So this is a very important part right here. We got some great inductors and some great legends we want to introduce and pay tribute to. And believe me, this is an honor and privilege for me as much as it is for you folks. Believe me, I'm just like y'all fan. As a matter of fact, introduce myself. I'm Dave Wills. Some of you might have saw the internet video or Tosh.0, where there's a little guy in a bleacher like here that says, "It's still real to me, damn it." Well, let me tell you right now, tonight is real, and thank y'all so much. Let's go ahead and get this show on the road. We're going to be inducting tonight Randy and Pat Rose, the Rose cousins, Jerry Stubbs. We're going to be inducting Bull Buchanan, and also Daffney. Now, I'm sure, I cannot wait to hear the introductions and the speeches by the Rose cousins. I'm sure you're going to hear about fishing and the Midnight Express and all kinds of stuff. But rather than me do that, I want to introduce a guy. He is the Scenic City Invitational Promoter. They have a lot of matches in Chattanooga. They reached over $400,000 in the last 3 years for Hamilton County Schools. And I want to introduce Mr. Scott Hensley. He'll be inducting Randy and Pat Rose, the Rose cousins.
Wait, that's Scott Hensley? He's been on the show.
Hey guys, I am Scott Hensley. I do promote with the Scenic City Invitational Group in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area. But it was actually in Alabama that I got some of my first opportunities to do ring announcing over in Scottsboro, Alabama, with the Ultimate NWA group, Will Owens and that group. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here. I'm honored to get to talk to you about a couple of guys that most of you have some memory of or have been told about their legacy, and here we are 30 to 40 years later, still talking about them and still honoring them, and I can only hope to have a legacy such as that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the tag team that I'm going to talk about is the Rose cousins, Pat and Randy Rose. To talk about them as a tag team is one thing, but they actually had very separate and very successful separate careers. As a tag team, they were very successful in the mid-'80s. They did win the NWA Southeastern Tag Team Championship in 1984. But I will back up here and we'll take them one by one and start with Mr. Pat Rose. Pat Rose was trained by Ken Hawk, the manager of the original Samoans, and he debuted in 1979. He said after about 2 weeks of training, they threw him into the fire and put him on TV in Chattanooga, Tennessee. From there on, he formed a lot of successful tag teams. He formed a tag team with Marcel Pringle, managed by Don Fargo, as the New Fabulous Fargos. He teamed with Tom Pritchard, managed by sensational Sherry Martel, as the Heavenly Bodies. He was, for a time, Mr. Wrestling number 2's partner. He was Mr. Wrestling number 3 under the mask. And he also formed very successful tag teams with Arn Anderson. He formed a tag team with Jackie Fargo. And he even formed a tag team at one point with Andre the Giant. So Pat has formed some very successful tag teams. He has also competed in the ring as a single and as a tag team wrestler against some of the biggest names in the history of professional wrestling. Some of these names include Big Van Vader, Sting, The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Dusty Rhodes, Arn Anderson, and Ric Flair. Woo. But he also competed in Puerto Rico, and he was a part of the last Battle of Atlanta versus Bruno Sammartino in 1983. I think that's on the WWE Network now. If you have that, you can check that out. But then you also have his cousin, Randy Rose. Randy debuted a little earlier, 1974, and he was one of the original members of the Midnight Express. So many people my age and probably younger think Midnight Express and they think Stan and they think Bobby and they think Dennis. But actually Norvell Austin, Dennis Condrey, and Randy Rose were the original founding 3 members. And Randy Rose would go on with Dennis Condrey as the original Midnight Express to have a lot of tag team success. They actually won the AWA Tag Team Championship. They were managed by Paul E. Dangerously, which most of us probably know as Paul Heyman now. So they actually defeated Jerry the King Lawler and Bill Dundee for that championship. And then sort of a passing of the torch kind of thing. They were defeated by the Midnight Rockers, 2 punk kids named Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. So a little legacy and heritage there. But Randy Rose actually had a very successful career here in the United States. He did appear on Starrcade 1988 with his partner Jack Victory. It was the Midnight Express versus the Midnight Express. And then also, one thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is that Randy Rose also had a very successful career overseas in Japan. He did have multiple tours of Japan and competed against some of their biggest names. Some of the names that he competed against in singles and tag team action: Bruiser Brody, Magnum TA. He teamed with and against Abdullah the Butcher, Jumbo Tsuruta, Pat O'Connor, the Great Kabuki, the Great Muta, Kenta Kobashi. He also had competition against Ric Flair, and he also competed against Andre the Giant in a Battle Royal. I'm not sure he won that one. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce you to 2 men who, like I said, here we are, 30 to 40 years, still talking about these guys, still talking about their legacy, their contribution to professional wrestling, the way that they have paved the road for people like myself to be involved as just a ring announcer and promoter, for all those guys in the back to be involved as professional wrestlers. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Mr. Pat Rose and Randy Rose.
All right, is this it? All right. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. What a crowd.
All the Alabama fans, me and Pat Rose are here to do something that Jack Lord and Legacy Wrestling has given us, and it's an honor to be here and to see you guys, and we appreciate you all coming.
Let me tell you something about the Rose cousins. Now, we tore Alabama up, whether it be in Birmingham, Alabama at the Boutwell Auditorium, whether getting thrown in jail in Montgomery, Alabama, down that way, wrestling in Mobile, Alabama, Dothan, Alabama. We tore it up. For what? For you. For you. You know, I'm asked every day, Pat Rose, would you do it again? You dead-gum right, I'd do it again. You dead-gum right, I'd do it again.
You know, Pat, we had some of the greatest times in Oxford, Dothan, Alabama, Montgomery, Birmingham, and I can tell all these people right here, Alabama fans have the greatest heart, and they loved their wrestling back in the day. I have never, ever had a 38 pistol pull on me except for in Evergreen, Alabama, by a little old man in his overalls, and he wanted to shoot my butt. And I believe that he would have. And also, too, in Birmingham, Alabama, we were standing one time with these rails. Pat walked around, a guy pushed him, and he dropped the belt, and the riot started coming. The first time I've ever almost been in a riot in a wrestling ring in Alabama. So you fans are the greatest we've ever seen, and we appreciate you being here.
The guy, hey, let me tell you.
You loved your wrestling, by God.
Let me tell you the story of Birmingham, Alabama. The guy didn't push me. The guy hit me right in the dadgum mouth.
I wasn't going to tell that
I had this belt right here. I threw it in the crowd. It went to the crowd. We yanked him over that guardrail. Back in the day, if you come over that guardrail, you're going to get a butt whooping. Yep. And that's exactly what we did. We laid the boots to him, the whole deal. Now, come to find out, after the cops got there and got him back in the dressing room area, he had a .25 automatic on him.
That's right.
Was he coming for us? I don't know. But like Randy said, each and every one of you, man, I appreciate you. I love you. Y'all made my life special. Thank you.
That goes for me, too. And you guys, we appreciate you being here. And thank you for the honor of Legacy Wrestling, for this Hall of Fame honor. And we appreciate everything you guys do. All right. This means a lot from a couple old funk wrestlers. We're still here and we're still mean as hell. Well, I suggest you sell it. If you come looking for trouble, looks like you found. If you got it all, well, I suggest you sell it. If you come looking for trouble, looks like you found.
I want to introduce a gentleman right now, our next inductor. He'll be inducting a man, Mr. Olympia, Jerry Stubbs. But the inductor is a gentleman by the name of Rodney West, who is the son. His father was C. Ron West, who you might have, if you watched Continental Wrestling years ago, you might have seen when Gordon Sula would say, if you'd like to bring wrestling to your hometown, call C. Ron West. Well, let me tell you right here, C. Ron West was a great official, a great referee, and it's a privilege and an honor to have his son come out. Now, unfortunately, Mr. Stubbs is not here. His father did have I believe he had a heart attack last night, so our thoughts are definitely with Mr. Stubbs. But for a few, to let you know the real man, Jerry Stubbs, let you know what's behind the mask, what's behind the wrestler, let's go up here and bring up Rodney West. Rodney West.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. West.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. First of all, my father's name was not C. Ron West. No, it wasn't like the letter C. It was C, S-E-E. Yes, Gordon Soley made that up. If you had a question, you want to know what match you were on, C. Ron West. If you want to know how long your interview was, C. Ron West. So it wasn't C. Ron West. It was C. Ron West. If there's a problem, C. Ron West, yes. That was Gordon Soley, tremendous wrestling announcer and commentator, and that we miss Gordon Soley. I'm here to talk about Jerry Stubbs. Jerry Stubbs, I remember him when I was 10 years old. We would go to Superstation TBS, and he would start when he first started out in wrestling. And later on, we got the opportunity to go to, because back in the 70s, Southeastern Championship Wrestling actually had two different divisions. It was a northern side and a southern side, and the East Tennessee and Southeast Kentucky was the northern side, and that was ran by Georgia Championship Wrestling. And we had the opportunity to go up there, and this was the first time Jerry Stubbs donned a mask. And in his first appearance as a masked man, he was known as the Matador. And he would wear all these colorful different outfits, and he would battle such people as Dennis Condrey and Dr. D. David Schultz and the Great Mephisto and the Manchurians. He did a tremendous job, and later on, that just set the stage for Jerry Stubbs moving to become Mr. Olympia. And he got his first notoriety by going to Mid-South Wrestling. This is the Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Texas area, which he got in battles with Mr. Wrestling number 2. And in that, we found out that Jerry Stubbs was just not a great wrestler. He was the main event. He was the best when it came to professional wrestling. After he went through his tour of the Mid-South area, he came here to Southeastern Championship Wrestling, And I believe Jerry Stubbs held every title that there was. From the United States Junior Heavyweight Championship, Southeastern Heavyweight Championship, Continental Championship, any title that meant anything, Jerry Stubbs had. Jerry Stubbs was always in the middle of everything. In fact, the first time we came to the Southeastern area, we had just come from Georgia. Jerry Stubbs was not only the Southeastern champion, he was also the Alabama heavyweight champion. And through a series of matches, Mr. Olympia lost his mask, and he was now Jerry Stubbs. Now, through Jerry's career, he was Mr. Olympia, then he was Jerry Stubbs, and then he was, what was that other name? No, it was Mr. Olympia. He was Mr. Olympia, and then he was Jerry Stubbs, and then he was Mr. Olympia, and then he was Jerry Stubbs. Yeah, we got all of that. So, yeah, did you not remember that? Yeah, well, that was later on. So, Mr. Olympia was battling Super Olympia. Does anybody remember Super Olympia? You know who he was? He was Arn Anderson. We used to call him, for short, they used to call him Super O. We used to call him Super Zero. All right, so he was battling against Jacques Rougeau, and he lost his mask. Do you remember Jacques Rougeau? He was the one that would say things, and then after time he had to say something, he had to say boy after it. I don't understand what the problem was. He said, I want to tell you something, Super Olympia, boy. Like, what is he trying to say? We never did understand. He was always mad. We didn't understand why. Later on, Arn Anderson and Jerry Stubbs teamed together. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to talk about a team, if you missed Arn Anderson, Jerry Stubbs, you missed a tag team. They were a world-class tag team. They were in the same leagues as Terry and Dory Funk, Jack and Jerry Briscoe, the Midnight Express, Ole and Gene Anderson. This was a great tag team, and everywhere they went, when they started team, the crowds just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They were managed by Sonny King. Does anybody remember Sonny King? Sonny King, he would come out, and he was a big tall guy, and he had this sucker. He would be having this sucker in his mouth. And when Sonny really wanted to make a point, he would take that sucker out, and he would point at the camera, and he said, let me tell you something. And then he told you something. It was amazing. So, Arn Anderson, Jerry Stubbs, and also Boris Zherkov. Boris Zherkov later became Boris Zukov. So he went from Zherkov to Zukov for obvious reasons. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was obvious reasons. You can't even say that, not even in Dothan TV. You know what I'm saying? So later on, Arn Anderson, Jerry Stubbs, they were setting records, finally taking out Robert Fuller. Now the big Tennessee stud wants to come in. He wants to try to take on Arn Anderson and Jerry Stubbs. And now he's going to bring in everybody in. He's got Andre the Giant coming. He's got Rick McGraw coming. It's Jimmy Golden coming. And every single one of them, Arn Anderson, Jerry Stubbs, putting them out one by one. Bob Armstrong, during the entire time, is wanting, Tennessee stud, please let me be your partner. Remember, Bob Armstrong cost the Tennessee stud the World Heavyweight Championship. So finally on television, it was, in fact, I saw this just today before I came here. It was Jerry Stubbs and Arn Anderson against the Tennessee stud and Rick McGraw. And it was a tremendous match. When the referee got nailed with a chain, he was bleeding. They were taken over on the Tennessee stud, and out came Bob Armstrong, and then they changed the match. Bob Armstrong, the Tennessee stud, versus the Southeastern Tag Team Champions, Arn Anderson, Jerry Stubbs with Sonny King. The Houston County Farm Center was packed. Not a seat to be held to see this match. And like I said, if you've missed a match with Arn Anderson and Jerry Stubbs, you truly missed a match. And in this one, it was a classic. It was a classic, ladies and gentlemen. Later on, the Tennessee stud, as you well know, he turned on Bob Armstrong, and now the Tennessee stud is the manager of Arn Anderson and Jerry Stubbs. And later on, apparently, Jerry Stubbs had a falling out and then becomes Mr. Olympia yet again. And then, remember, Ron Fuller had the $25,000 bounty on the head of the bullet. Remember, Bob Armstrong, he put the mask on, and so they were trying to collect the $25,000. And in the process of trying to get the bullet, Mr. Olympia lost his mask again. So now he's back as Jerry Stubbs. Now, after that, he becomes the Alabama Heavyweight Championship. Now, do you remember he took him through the Alabama Heavyweight Championship off a bridge? Are you sure you want to induct him in Alabama Hall of Fame? Are you sure? Okay, I'm just asking because he threw the Alabama. Got him the new belt? Yeah, he was wanting one. He came out on TV, he said, this Alabama championship belt, it is a piece of garbage. I want a brand new belt. He took it out and he threw it off the bridge. I believe the EPA wants to talk to him about that. I really do. After that, he went through several different names. He tried superstar Jerry Stubbs, and then people said, no, I don't think so. Then he came out with the name Mr. Perfect Jerry Stubbs, and believe me, he was Mr. Perfect. I remember him coming down the aisle. He had that red robe on with the red beret. He had played to the music to Robert Palmer's Addicted to Love, and he'd have that strut coming down the ring. And in one big match they had at Battle Royal Tournament, I'll never forget it. It was him, Jerry Stubbs, against Brad Armstrong. This was a match. And on Monday nights, Battle Royal Auditorium was the place to be. And Jerry Stubbs, once again, rose to the occasion, showing exactly why he is the main event. And he was Mr. Perfect. He and Brad Armstrong put on a wrestling clinic, the likes that people at Boutwell had not seen in years. I'm telling you, both men was bloody. In fact, Brad Armstrong had to go get some stitches. So later on, and probably, if I'm not mistaken, probably one of the last matches Continental Championship Wrestling had right here in that ring. For the Continental Tag Team Championship, it was Jerry Stubbs and the Dirty White Boy Tony Anthony against the Nightmares, Ken Wayne and Danny Davis. And if you haven't seen one of those matches, you're missing it. If it was 45 minutes, it was a short match. Let me tell you, it was a wrestling clinic. Most wrestlers can't even go 10 minutes, much less 45. And I can tell you right now, they did it, and it was an event. That was worth the price of admission alone. And once again, Jerry Stubbs was the man. So today I was just thinking about when I was driving here, what a pleasure it would have been just to have one more night, just one more time of seeing Jerry Stubbs in that ring, Brad Armstrong in that ring. Just if I could just have one more wish, one more night of that, I would be a happy man. But of course we can't do that. Some of them we're not with us anymore. But we can do what we're doing here tonight. We can honor their legacy. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor, it is my pleasure to induct into the 2018 Alabama Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, Mr. Olympia, Mr. Perfect, Jerry Stubbs. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry's not here. Our thoughts and prayers go out his family. And if I was him, I would be there as well. When my father passed away, he passed away in a hotel in Sterling, Virginia, and I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. So our thoughts and prayers with Jerry Stubbs. And Jerry, stay with your dad.
Appreciate that. Just want to remind everybody that the Alabama Wrestling Hall of Fame is here to remember the legends and the great matches they had years ago. And please remember that we're not just looking at wrestling from Nick Goulas area. We're not just looking at wrestling from Southeastern Championship Wrestling or Continental Championship Wrestling, but also other people have came through Alabama, whether it be through local promotions or Wrestle Birmingham or others. And they went up there and went to other promotions like WWE, WCW, WWF. And we're also recognizing them as well today. Just want to remind you that the L in SLW is legacy. And another gentleman who's coming up, he right now will be inducting a guy who, I watched one of his first matches, Buchanan with Sunset Sam McGraw then. But to introduce the inductor for him, he is the SLW General Manager. He would want me to mention that our next date will be next Saturday, the 8th at 7:30 in Munford, Alabama. And make sure to follow us on Twitter and follow us on Facebook. And watch our show on Fight TV. New episodes Monday night. Believe me, This going places. Let's give a big round of applause for our next inductor, man, who will induct Buchanan into the Alabama Wrestling Hall of Fame. Here he is, SLW General Manager Jack the Bomber Lord.
You know, a couple of years ago, I stood up here and received this award. And it was probably the greatest honor of my life. Everything I ever did, I did for you guys. Now, you know, it's kind of funny how things in life are a circle. Sometimes you always wind up back where you started, whether it's your hometown or your first love. All kinds of things come around. Back in the early 90s, I did a show down in Mumford, Alabama at what is now the community center. Back then it was the high school gym. And I walked in that building, and there was a guy sitting in that dressing room that I immediately thought, this guy's got the look. This guy can go somewhere. That guy was Bull Buchanan. Now, here it is all these years later. Every couple of weeks when we meet to have these great shows and film our international TV show, we still sit in those same seats in that same dressing room. And in between those years, we have done so much together. We have beat the dog out of each other in the ring. We have tagged together, and I have sat and watched him go from armories and high school gyms to WrestleMania and a star in Japan. You know, there were a couple of times, you know, people can think what they want to about wrestling and how real it is or not. I mean, to us, the physical tolls we take are very real. And every now and then you find yourself in situations where it gets almost well too real. And on a few occasions we've been in the ring with a couple of guys that wanted to test us. I can't think of a better guy in my corner than Bull Buchanan. And when we got tested, we passed the test every time. Through the years, we've shared our lives, the good times and the bad times. We've supported each other. We've been in our homes with our children. We've watched them grow. And through everything we have ever done, I have found a brother. Barry, I want you to know that I am now and forever shall be your brother. Ladies and gentlemen, the Alabama Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame newest inductee for 2018, Bull Buchanan.
Thank you. I didn't write anything down. I usually don't. What can you say to something like this? Jack Lord's been a friend of mine for a long time. It's just like he said it happened. I met him. He took me up to Albertville. He got me booked in a lot of places. He got me my start. Now, I don't kid anybody. I'm from Georgia, but I live in Alabama now. That's what I said. For me, wrestling in Alabama was not only a way to move on through the ranks. I was a wrestling fan before I was ever a wrestler. I'm still a wrestling fan. And I watched Southeastern Championship Wrestling, I watched Continental, and I watched all the guys. I watched the Fullers, I watched the Armstrongs. I watched Jerry Stubbs, I watched Arn Anderson. And not long after working over here for a few months, I got a chance to work for Bob Armstrong at the Dothan Farm Center. Bob Armstrong slapped a hockey mask on me. He called me Lord Humongous. Now, there's been plenty of people did it, but Bob Armstrong, back in 1993, got me a start. From there, I worked my way up, and I eventually got to WWE. But what I really want to say is not about what I've done. It's about what you guys have done. Because just like the Rose said, it's all for you guys. And I want you to know whether or not you cheered me, you booed me, or if you just sat on your hands, if you paid a ticket to see me, at the end of the night, I left everything I had right there in that ring for you guys. And when you guys cheered me or you booed me, it didn't make any difference to me. What it meant to it was you cared. And I fed off of that, and the same thing goes for today. Everything changes, but everything stays the same. Pro wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever people want to call it nowadays, it's always going to be pro wrestling. And the same old stories still hang true. Those guys are in the back. I work in the back now for Southern Legacy Wrestling. I'm lucky. I get to be a matchmaker. I get to see all these young guys making careers for themselves, and hopefully they go everywhere they want to go and do everything they want to do. But they do it just like I did it, just like these guys did it. They do it for you. So when they're out here, whether you're cheering them or booing them, make some noise. Come out to the shows. It's you guys that keep this going, because if this was an empty arena, well, we would just pack up and go home. You know? Anybody, we can get anybody in that ring to do something. We can put on a show for you guys, but without you guys, there's no show. So I just want to thank you. Keep coming to Southern Legacy Wrestling. Keep coming to whatever wrestling you go to. Keep promoting it, keep supporting it, keep coming to it, because without you guys, none of this works. Thank you, I love you, and good night.
I tell you, what a night. It's still real for sure. We're going to keep on going right now, and definitely want to let you know that this right here is going to conclude our Southern Legacy Pro Hall of Fame. We got one more inductee, but stick around. I think on the internet they call it a spoiler. So we might have some announcements at the end, okay? You definitely want to pay attention. And I definitely want to bring out this gentleman right here. He's going to be inducted and be seen in WCW, TNA, even some movies. Scream Queen Daffney for sure. And the gentleman who's going to be inducting her is a great wrestler, a great talent, one of the superstars of Southern Legacy Wrestling. One half of your tag team champions. He's a member of Team Redeemed. He'll be competing tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Slaughter.
I know most of y'all. Is everybody having a good time so far? I can't express what an honor it is not only to be here for the Alabama Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, but just to be here with Southern Legacy Wrestling, just to be in this building. For any of you who don't know, there has not been wrestling in this building for over 30 years. Thanks a lot, Tommy Rich. But that is old news, and we are here about today. So the next inductee is a personal friend of mine. She's a wonderful human being. The Scream Queen was born at a United States Air Force base in Germany After high school, Daffney graduated from Georgia State University. She joined WCW in 1999 and worked several programs with people like David Flair and Crowbar. During that time, she developed her trademark scream that became part of her persona. Daffney was the second woman in history to ever win the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Let's see, she spent time with TNA Wrestling as Shark Girl, as the Governor, and of course as Daffney. She's also the only woman to ever win the NWA Alabama Wrestle Birmingham Junior Heavyweight Championship. She's been part of more wrestling promotions than I have time to mention here tonight. She's always been helpful and eager to pass on knowledge that she's learned over her amazing career. And even to this day, she does seminars teaching the next generation of stars the things they need to know to be successful. It is my great honor to introduce to you one of the best people I have ever met in professional wrestling. So without further ado, please put your hands together for the one, the only, the Scream Queen, Daffney.
I've been hitting the head so many times that I have to take notes. So you know how it is. Tables, ladders, and chairs. Oh my. Well, he made me cry before I started, so that's not fair. All right. For those of you who do not know me, I am the Scream Queen Daffney. My fan... Thank you. My fans, Daffnatics, know me as Daffney Unger, but my real name is Shannon Sproul. I am so blessed that I have 7 cool Spruels here to see me tonight receive this highest honor, being inducted into the Alabama Hall of Fame. My daddy is a retired lieutenant colonel from the Air Force, and growing up we were stationed in Germany. We only had one channel, and every Saturday morning my brother and I would watch wrestling. We hated Ric Flair, and especially Roddy Piper, because during his feud with Snuka, he ripped up the mats on the outside, pile drove him on the concrete, and as he's getting stretchered out in a neck brace, me and Dee are like, well, he didn't have to do that. It's still real to us, damn it. This is why I needed notes. So beginning my career in WCW managing David and Crowbar, I was kind of just like thrown into the deep end. I immediately, though, became a sponge to learn the history, legends, and the art of sports entertainment. When Vince McMahon bought WCW, he didn't offer me a contract, so I immediately went to Dusty Rhodes School and learned how to perform as an actual wrestler, not manager. During that time, I was also lucky enough to meet Johnny Slaughter. Yes. My mentor, Malaya Hosaka and I would go to his school where he taught, and he would spend the entire training session teaching me so much. All of that hard work and dedication eventually landed me another TV contract. In total nonstop action, I was able to use the skills that I learned from Johnny to make my mark in the knockout division. Unfortunately, 2 major concussions ended my in-ring career, yet wrestling has always been in my blood. After the concussions healed some, I continued on in the business in every way that I could. I started an all-women's company in which I handpicked the talent, wrote the shows and the storylines, produced the matches for iPay-per-view, ring announced, commentated, managed. Anything that I can do to stay in this business. 2 decades. I've also started conducting seminars. Helping the young ones along the way has been one of the most rewarding things of my career. Since I've moved back to Atlanta, I'm so very happy that I'm closer to my family. The rest of my family lives right here in Jacksonville. My daddy goes to church right here in Oxford. Sorry, I lose my place. Oh, here we go. I've said that my last name is Sproul, and my big brother is Darren Sproul. Yes, the Darren Sproul. He's lived here for over 25 years and works at the Anniston Rec Center. He organizes all of the youth sports, and he is also a true soccer genius. He was an all-star player. He taught me how to be an all-county goalkeeper and has coached kids from all around this area to become Alabama state champions and receive college scholarships. I'm so proud of him. He is the best big brother in the whole universe. My sister-in-law has a master's degree in special education. She's worked with autistic children for as long as I've known her. Not only does she have such compassion and dedication to her kids, as my sister, I genuinely call her an angel. Her love and support and advice through the years has meant more to me than you'll ever know, Aim. You're an outstanding mother to my nibblings. And yes, I said nibblings. Do y'all know what nibblings are? Well, your brothers and your sisters are your siblings, and your nieces and your nephews are your nibblings. Don't believe me? Look it up. Won many a bet that way. And both my nibblings are here. Pate the Great is the greatest nephew in the entire world. His compassion and kindness is beyond words. My niece Dev is my princess with no fear, my ray of sunshine who always puts a smile on my face and keeps me laughing. I love them so much. My mom and dad are both here. I can't express how much they've supported me pursuing my dream. My mom made my first ever Shark Girl uniform gear. My daddy dropped everything and moved to Louisville to help me when I was really struggling. I will forever be grateful for all y'all have given me. I'd like to thank SLW Pro. Without them, I wouldn't be here today. The partners involved in this company, they have seen what is best for the business. They see the future and how it's supposed to be. Thank you again to Johnny Slaughter and the entire Slaughter family, Shauna, Caitlin, Kobe. I can't close without how much I appreciate you fans. Daffanatics, the love, the years that y'all have shown me makes me feel like y'all are family too. Scream on and live loud. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for your class of 2018 Alabama Wrestling Hall of Fame. Pat Rose, Ravishing Randy Rose, Mr. Olympia Cherry Stubbs, Bo Buchanan, and the Scream Queen, Daffney!